We are here today to introduce Tawakkol Karman. She was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2011 in recognition for her nonviolent struggle for democracy and her advocacy for women's rights in Yemen. Karman has been imprisoned on a number of occasions for her pro-democracy, pro-human rights protests. Among Yemen's youth movement, she is known as Mother of the Revolution, the Iron Woman, and the Lady of the Arab Spring. She is a human rights activist, journalist, politician, and founder of Peaceful Youth Revolution Council, and the founder of Tawakkol Karman International Foundation. Time magazine described her as a torchbearer of the Arab Spring, and named her both one of the 100 most influential women defining the last century and one of the most rebellious women in history. She was a member of the high-level panel of eminent persons on the post-2015 development agenda. She is now a board member of the Facebook Oversight Board and Noble Women Initiative.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes. Tawakkol Karman fue galardonada con el Premio Nobel de la Paz en 2011 como reconocimiento a su lucha no violenta por la democracia y su defensa por los derechos de las mujeres en Yemen. Karman ha sido encarcelada en numerosas ocasiones por sus protestas a favor de la democracia y de los derechos humanos. En el marco del movimiento juvenil de Yemen, es conocida como la madre de la revolución, la mujer de hierro y la dama de la Primavera Árabe. Es activista por los derechos humanos, periodista, política, fundadora del Peaceful Revolution Council y la fundadora de la Fundación Internacional Tawakkol Karman. Es actualmente miembro del Facebook Oversight Board y la iniciativa Nobel Women. Lorena Alcalá Cabrera es maestra en Gestión e Innovación Pública, licenciada en Periodismo y Comunicación por la Universidad Autónoma de Querétaro, con especialidad en Comunicación Política. Se ha desempeñado como reportera, columnista, jefe de información de periódicos locales, coeditora de información del periódico local El Universal Querétaro, jefe de información del Diario de Querétaro, reportera fundadora del suplemento cultural barroco de ese mismo, y reportera de la Fuente de Gobierno Municipal y Estatal, así como jefa de información del periódico Plaza de Armas, donde fungió como editora fundadora del suplemento cultural Acrópolis y colaboradora en el área de difusión del Instituto Nacional de Antropología e Historia. Actualmente es coordinadora de Web y Estrategia Digital, WAC, oficina encargada de las acciones de difusión del quehacer científico, cultural y social de la máxima casa de estudios del Estado, a través de los medios digitales. Thank you.
Tawakkol Karman, bienvenida a la Universidad Autónoma de Querétaro. Estamos muy contentos de tenerte aquí. Tawakkol Karman, welcome to the University of Querétaro. We are very, very honored and pleasure to have you here right now.
Yeah, gracias, muchas gracias. Thank you. I'm so happy to be with you here. It's like my university. Yeah.
Tawakkol, back in September 11, you had a vision of the desirable future of your country, about human rights, about education, free will, free speech. Nowadays, this vision has transformed, or it remains the same?
It's back to February 2011, not September, because February 2011 is the date of the peaceful revolution in Yemen. Is the situation still as it was after the revolution? Let me tell you first the situation before the revolution. The situation before the revolution, especially in expression rights, there was no expression rights. The expression rights was like a decor that is, portrayed by the dictator Ali Abdullah Saleh. He just used it, to convince the world that he has a democracy while it is fake democracy, like all the dictators who claim that they have democracy. They create some newspapers belong to them. They create some parties, they obey to them, and also they create or they allow some women to be in the government, in parliament, just as a decor. So what happened before before the revolution? There was a total deterioration in all the field, especially in expression rights. There was no press freedom, especially in the right of owning media outlets, video, radio stations, TV stations, etc. And also most of the journalists, if they dare to talk against the dictator or his regime, they've been killed or arrested or followed, or their newspapers been closed, etc., etc. And after the revolution, and one of the reasons of the peaceful revolution was the expression rights. It's one of the main reasons. So when we make the revolution, inside the revolution, we guarantee that the people in the revolution started to publish their own newspapers. And we also started to publish our own radio station inside the square of the revolution itself. And after we win, when we forced him to leave the authority, then we opened the door for all the media outlets. So the freedom of speech started to be really implemented by the hand of revolutionary people when we led the transitional period. So we allow all the parties, NGOs, people, anyone who want to own TV channels, radio stations, newspapers, they can have it as a right. And at that time, we have a lot of tens of radios and also TV stations and newspapers, etc., etc. And at that time, through the transitional period, there was not any one accident on arresting journalists or closing newspapers or attacking any media outlets. So the speech was really guaranteed inside, the transitional period time. After that, when the war came, and the war is waged by the Saudi Arabia, by Emirates, and by Iran, who supports Houthi militia, then the deterioration retained. So most of the journalists are in jail, most of the TV stations closed, and there is no really expression rights from all the sides. And when we talk about expression rights, also it includes the right of demonstrations and the right of expression. But still, people are there in the land, people are there still sacrificing, struggling, calling for freedom, justice, and democracy, and facing the three countries, Saudi Arabia, Emirates, and Iran, who play proxy war in Yemen, and no one can shut their mouth, and they are continuing their rule. And we outside, now publishing our TV stations, our radio stations, and there is hundreds of websites, so they couldn't silence us.
To talk about TV stations, radio stations, many times we have heard how technology can keep us away of get involved on social and political movements, but you and your countrymen use the technology, the communication, the information to impulse the revolution, a peaceful revolution. How did you achieve that?
Look, that people who live in 21st century, we are so lucky. We have a lot of things, a lot of tools that will help us to convey our messages to the people, to convey our messages to the governments, to convey our messages internal and inside the country and outside the country. And one of the tools is technology. So, and this is the most important thing. And we are living in the revolution of technology itself. And we are living in the age of the social media, and on the age of internet. So this age make especially young people, to be able, to carry a very important and the strongest weapon. It's more than any other weapon. It's than any other weapons, traditional weapons. So, and this is what we used in the peaceful revolution. In all Arab Spring countries, we use the technology. It's difference between country to country. For example, in Yemen, it was less than in Tunis. For example, in Tunis, more than 90% of the people, they are educated, and they are also they have the facilities, the electricity and internet, etc. So that helped them a lot. In Egypt, for example, also it was more than in Yemen. But in Yemen, we also use it. We use the Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, on calling people to be together against human rights violation in general. This is before the revolution. And after the revolution, we use them to call people to be with us, together in some square, one square to another square to another square, for calling for the dates, for calling for Friday prayers, etc. And also to document the violation of the government. And that was very, very important. And that was one of the most important tools that students like you here in the university, that they used it. They used the technology, they used documents, the violation of the government, together the solidarity from inside Yemen and also from outside Yemen. So students in Yemen did a great work inside Yemen, inside the revolution, all the details of the revolution, by leading the revolution itself, and also by documenting it, by gathering, by making awareness. So it was really play a vital role on waging the revolution, on also making awareness, and now on leading the resistance against the countries that occupy Yemen now and wage war in Yemen, Saudi, Emirates, and Iran.
Do you use the technology and the social media at the same right now for resistance?
Look, we use them now. We use them and we need them. But the problem now that the governments, the dictators, the tyrannies in the region, they become aware of the dangers of the social media. Before, when we make the revolution, they didn't know, wow, what happened? They didn't know what people are doing, and they couldn't follow us. And now they really know what is the social media, and they recruit hundreds, thousands of electronic army. This electronic army, its mission and its goal is to destroy the voice of people, to destroy the accounts of people in Facebook, in Twitter, in all the social media accounts, in YouTube, and also to attack their credibility. So you have a lot of bullying, a lot of hatred, a lot of racism, a lot of misinformation, a lot of fake news, and a lot of fake accounts that the only job they are doing is to attack the accounts of those activists, of the leaders of the change, of the human rights defenders, of journalists, of women activists. They attack their accounts. They send reports to the companies, to Facebook, to Twitter, to all other, Instagram, TikTok, etc. They make reports, hundreds, thousands, of reports of fake news, so those, we call them in Arab countries, we call them electronic flies. So their only mission is to attack the account. So now our rule is more complicated, is more difficult than before, because now they knew our weapons and they act like us. But this is the challenge, and this is one of the challenges that you, student, you youth people should go through and should beat them, because if you make this very important platform to be managed, to be ruled, to be just used by those bad people, by those fake accounts, by those authoritarian regimes, by those corrupt people, that means you lose your strongest weapon. So don't make them win in this very important battle. You should learn how to work very good in this platforms. You should also make reports against those fake accounts, make awareness, you have a lot of things, to protect this platform. It's the platform of you people. It's when those platforms started, especially Facebook. I am in oversight board of Facebook. The main slogan is the voice of voiceless people. So you shouldn't lose your voice, and you shouldn't be absent or from this field, or you shouldn't give up in front of all those hatred people who spread hatred or bullying you on your work or your shape or your effort. So don't give them chance by believing on them. Just continue what you work, just believe in your work, and use these weapons. And there is a lot of weapons is coming, peaceful weapons, technology weapons. You should use it.
You led a movement with enormous participation of young people and women. Which is the importance of these two social groups for the actual activism?
Look, first, any movement, if it doesn't been ruled by the young people, that means that those young people will lose their future. That means those young people, young people, will hand over your future to the wrong people who didn't understand what you want and what you need and what the future should be. So young people should be there for deciding the future, their future. And they will not be there if they exclude themselves from any position, from any effort of a change, and even effort of current. For example, it's very important for you young people to play a very good role in your country, in all the fields, in political, in social, in economy, in sport, in media. You should see to yourself as a leader. You should see to yourself as an important person that should do something for your country and for the world. So how can you do it? It is not just, calling for change, because maybe your current is good, but it's calling for to lead this institution or this foundation, or so. You have to be so important person in your party, in your university, in your TV channel if you work there, in your school, you should act as an important person that can do something for the people. You should be leader. So if you want to do something good for your society, you should lead this goodness. Don't wait for another people to guide you. Help them. Help them. Be the person who creates the change. Be the person who, because this is your responsibility for current situation, and this is your responsibility for the future, because the future belongs to you, and it's your responsibility for your kids, for the second generation, third generation. If you didn't raise that flag, who will raise it? And about women, so any exclusion of women from any society, that means is destroying the society. And that is exactly what happened under the rule of dictators. They use women as a decor. I remember the dictator Ali Abdullah Saleh, he just put one woman in the government, 3 women in parliament, and he said, we have a woman in parliament, we have a woman in government. And why he did that? Because he is afraid from women. He doesn't want this very important part of the society to be active. He and all the dictators, all the authoritarian regime want women to play traditional role and want women, and this is, by the way, it is not just with the authoritarian regimes, it's all over the world, yeah, but with the authoritarian regime is more, because imagine with this, big number of women, of people, of the part of the society, if they will be active in politics, in social, in economy, what will happen to them? And this is what happened with the small number educated women. When they really know their rights, they lead the revolution against them. Do you understand me? Why they are afraid? Because when woman knows her right, know her responsibility, then she refuses any kind of injustice, any kind of corruption. So women should be there everywhere. And you women decide where to put yourself. You women decide. If you want to marginalize yourself, the society will marginalize you. If you will marginalize yourself, the government will marginalize you. No one will recognize you if you will keep yourself hidden. Don't put yourself in the back field. Always be in the front line. Always say, I am here, so I don't wait. Solutions. I am the solution. I will be part of the solution. And don't allow them to marginalize you. And I know it's so hard. It is so hard, I know. But believe me, if you believe in yourself, if you decided to put yourself in the front line and to see I am here as a human, by the way, as a human before as a woman, as a human, to recognize yourself as a human being and as a woman, you and man will fly with this, society to the great future. So any society should fly with 2 wings, women and men. So imagine men just, and women is not there. The problem is with the authoritarian regimes that there is no man, there is no woman in the society. All the society is, rights is just belong to the relatives of the governor, of the relatives of the ruler. So in our battle for freedom and justice and democracy, we said that we want women's rights, but also when we talk about women's rights, we are talking about human rights, about democracy rights. So we want this, so when we talk about women's rights, we also talk about the expression rights. We talk also about good governance. We talk about the right to choose. And all the kind of, because all that is absent, and the men doesn't, have their rights, and women have doesn't have her right on this field. And then came, that, woman is suffering from another, kind of injustice, was attacking her as a woman. So attacking her as a citizen and as attacking her as a woman. So women should lead her society, should work with men, for men and women, for all society, for all democracy rights, not just for women's rights. So her battle for women's rights is a priority, but also for democracy rights, because democracy rights is also women's rights.
Was it hard to convince the women to join and go from back to front to the fight?
It was hard, yes, but when you give the model, then people started to think, and especially because they used to play traditional role, and when you came as a woman and you said, okay, what's wrong with you? For example, when I started the sit-ins and demonstration before the revolution, I was alone in the street with some victims, people from villages, carrying the microphone, calling people, wake up, let's save our country, and let's, save our expression rights. A lot of slogans, and I was the only woman with 2 or 3 women from Women Journalists Without Chains, and most of them, other, victims. Most of them, they are men, or a small, number of women victims. So that was so strange in my country. Oh my God, what she's doing? The dictator, he said her rule, she should stay at her home, and she shouldn't play this rule. And people was laughing at me. Okay, why she's screaming with this microphone? And at the beginning they were laughing at me, and then they admire me, and then they follow me. The same thing, I remember when the dictator, arrested me. After that, when I was released, one of my friends, he was the European ambassador. He told me, Tawakkol, I am so afraid that no one will listen to you, special women. If you think that women will follow you, you are wrong. Yemeni priority is something else than your priority now against the dictator. They don't understand. I told them, no, one day they will listen, and one day they will be convinced that this dictator is the one who is stealing he's stealing our wealth, and he is the cause of poverty, he is the cause of war, he is the cause of the women's, violations, and, attacking human rights, etc., etc. One day they will be with me, and they will follow what I call, and what students, call for, which is revolution. And that is exactly what happened. Millions of women were in the street leading this revolution with me. So it takes time, but at the end, they will believe in you. So it takes time for you as a woman to convince your family, then your society, and then the world. But believe me, if you, in the beginning, believe in yourself, it will be so easy to convince your family and the society. First, convince yourself that you can do it. First, convince yourself that you should do it, not you can do it. That you should do it. And everything. From my experience, I belong to what's called that conservative society, but when they listened to me, to my voice, when they saw me in the front line, when they see I was really honest. I was really honest in conveying their voices. Then the society respected me and hugged me and protecting me. The one who took me released me from the prison was Yemeni people, more than the international organizations or government, because it was a very big, scandal when they arrested me. And there was a very big, the international community, make a lot of, embassies, human rights organizations, media, make a lot of, news about, arresting me. But who released me was the Yemeni people who went to the street, thousands and thousands, carrying my photo. And that was the first time that Yemeni people carrying the photo of women, carrying and calling for my release. So calling the dictator to release me, and at the same time, chanting the same chant that I was singing before arresting me. So those years, people, the country, the society, the conservative society, they call it, they accepted me because I was their daughter. I was their voice. So be the voice of your society. Help people. Don't be afraid that they will ignore you or reject you. No, maybe in the beginning. But if you are honest, and if you believe in yourself, and if you will be their voice, believe me, one day they will protect you. One day they will dream the same dream that you are dreaming with. They will go to achieve the same goal. That always the society accept the heroes. Be the hero.
Sean el héroe, dice Tawakkol Karman, sean los héroes de su comunidad, de su sociedad. Do you think the history has to reevaluate the influence of these actors, the young people, the students, the women, in the social changes?
Yes, the history told us a lot of stories about the great role of women and the great role of young people on leading the change, on leading the transitions. But also the history told us that after winning the battle, the young people and women returned to the back seats. And their outcomes been hijacked by men, or I don't like, to generalize, men or something. I don't like this division between women and men. But really, when women, lead, not when it's really the most, in most of the revolutions and, turning points in the history, woman was there, young people was there. But when the victory happened, the politicians, the adults, they came and hijacked this, this victory. And this is for many, many reasons. One of the reasons that the young people and women themselves were not organized enough to prepare themselves for the second period of the change, of the transition, of the revolution. So, and they were so honest, so kind. They trust on the others that they will, they are part with us on creating the change, but they don't know. And this is exactly what happened with Arab Spring's revolution and with, when transition period came, the organized parties, the men took took the power in some countries. But also women was there and was very aware and played the same rule with the revolution. So the history tells us what happened, but the current, at least with the Arab Spring and revolution, no, women didn't accept to return to the back seats. No, they participated in the writing constitutions, they participated in governments, they participated in the national dialogues, etc., etc. But after that, the chaos came, the war came, the revenge came from what we call them the counter-revolution countries. The countries that doesn't want change. The countries that against democracy, which is monarchy in the Arab Peninsula, which is Saudi Arabia and Emirates, and also Iran. Those three countries was very afraid from this victory of women, the victory of people, and the really moving to the democracy and good governance from the nations of Arab Spring. They were so afraid from democracy. They were so afraid if those of the revolution will come to their countries. So they wage war against us, and this war take a lot of faces. Military coup, like what happened in Egypt with the Sisi. Militia coup, like what happened in Yemen with the Houthi militia, and in Libya with Haftar. And terrorism, and like what happened in Syria with Daesh, and the state terrorism of Bashar al-Assad, the dictator of Syria, and etc., etc. So it takes many faces of this counter-revolution, and this counter-revolution make the wheel of change, make it late, to be late, delayed, the moving of the wheel of a change. Yeah, they didn't win in their war against the will of people for democracy and freedom. This war, this chaos, give people nothing. They just give the people destruction, poverty, war, failing in all the fields, in economy, in security, in political, etc., etc. And they didn't provide anything to the people. And at the same time, the people still insist for democracy, in their struggle for democracy. And so they stop. As I told you, they delay the wheel of change and the leadership of women and young people for the future, but they didn't make it die.
Stop.
They didn't stop it, and it didn't die. So it didn't die, and it will not die. So people still continue their struggle for freedom, for justice, for democracy, for good governance, and they will not give up. And they will they will win this battle one day, today, tomorrow, after tomorrow. The freedom is really costly. So people will not stop. And this is exactly what happened all around the world, by the way. I'm not just talking about Yemen, about Arab Spring, This is as a model of people who are really crying for justice and for freedom and for democracy and dying every day for this. But there are a lot of people like you around the world, especially in Latin America, in Africa, in some countries of Asia, that really suffer from dictatorship, from poverty, from corruption, from racism, from ignorance. So people like you also, they are playing a good role. I read a lot and I follow all the movement around the world. There is a lot of young people, a lot of women that really are trying to make change in their society, to stop this wave of racism, this wave of hatred, and this corruption, and this injustice. And I'm sure that those people one day will win this Nobel, battle.
Thank you. You talk about corruption, you talk about justice, the need of justice of many people. Many of us, we are aware that a lot of circumstances in our societies worldwide and in Mexico too need to change. But how is the process to transform this philosophical discussion that many of us having all day to transform it to action?
As I told you, you have a lot of things, and you are lucky enough. We are lucky enough to be in the age of 21st, that we can talk with each other, we can travel easily, we can meet each other through our mobile. But you have to remember that as history told us, that change in all period of the history and the revolution and the calling for justice, for equality was led by young people. You should know that young people in Arab Spring countries really, in the current situation, they are really the one who lead this change. And they are the one who pay a big price for making their countries democrat, for stopping this ugly war, this ugly chaos, this ugly counter-revolution, those dictators, and also for stopping also the support from what's called Western countries that support the governments. I'm talking about Western countries because the Western countries, they claim that they support democracy, while some of them, they support dictators in our countries, and they are one of the reasons that topple, the revolution and change. But what I want to say that without the students and the youth of Sana'a University and Taiz University and Aden University in Yemen, the peaceful revolution wouldn't happen at all. Without the students and young people in Sudan, in Algeria, in Egypt, in Tunis, until now, they are paying a very high price. The revolution and the change wouldn't happen. So you young people can do a lot, special students can do a lot. I'm not calling you for revolution, but I'm calling you for creating a change and to believe on yourself that young people can do a lot. And your voice really annoying to the authorities or companies or corrupted people. So it's very important to make your voice heard by the others. So especially the young people, especially the students and doctors, should play a good role. And I remember one of the most important, supporter of the student was very few doctors, professors in the university. And their role was the biggest role on supporting those students, on believing on them, and believing on their cause. And one of them, his name was Dr. Muhammad al-Zahiri. Dr. Muhammad al-Zahiri was really the father of those students who create change. So you can do a lot here in Mexico, not just Mexico, in all Latin America. There is a lot of things that you suffer from. A lot of things, not just with the authorities, and also with the multinational companies. I was in Honduras, I was in Guatemala. I saw how your land your wealth been stolen, by these multinational companies. So you need to raise your voice. You need to believe on yourself. And from the hotel in the downtown, I see some few people that make demonstration for some. I don't understand what they are calling for, but even that is very important to say no, to don't give up. I don't know. I'm not sure what they are calling for. I hope that it is a good cause. I am with them if it's good cause. I'm not with them if it is not. But the demonstration itself, and to don't give up, even if you are alone, raise your voice. Raise your voice and don't afraid from consequences. So I am sure that only those people here in this conference, if they decide to do something together, you will achieve it. Just gather yourselves together and think, what can we do? And don't afraid, no one will listen. No, they will listen to you. And be smart. How to contact with media outlets. How to contact with international NGOs, how to connect with them, how to send emails, how to send photos, how to send appeals, so act now. Don't delay your activity. Don't delay it. Decide to act, and gather the people who will be with you in this matter. I'm sure that you Mexican people will make a great change, and I will remember you. I will remind you one day. And I see that. I see that with some, gathering, with some campaigns, with some, that is the beginning for a great change. And not just in Mexico, even in the United States. The women, movement, they did great work. There is a lot of movements, against racism. Black Lives Matters. They are doing a great work. Even now, they are changing a lot of laws. This is the movement from inside. So it's become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And believe in yourself, as I said, and don't give up.
Bueno, pues ahí tienen este llamado que hace Tawakkol Karman a levantar nuestra voz y a reunirnos y a estar todos juntos y hacer algo y actuar ahora, dice, act now, actuar ahora. Do you think the people has the power to fight these regimens, the autocratic regimens around the world, right? The common people?
Yes, but I advise them, and I am so insist on this point, that all of us should use non-violent act. Non-violent act is the most important and most successful way to reach to your goals, any goals that you want, any change that you want. And when you think about nonviolence, you will have a lot of way. The art itself can speak. The art itself. Everyone, the doctor can work, the engineer can work, the artist can work, the musician can work, the student can work. So, yes. The answer is yes.
Is the transform of our social reality an ethical responsibility for this generation and the next generations?
Of course. Of course. I remember my father when he told me, when I decided with my colleagues to announce the revolution, and he told me, Tawakkol, it's dangerous and it's not the time. And he was so honest, he was so a brave man, and he always taught me how to be outspoken, how to don't accept injustice. But with the revolution, he started to say, not now, be quiet. So your point, sorry, I missed.
It's an ethical responsibility.
Yes. So I told him this. this phrase. I told him, Dad, if you make revolution against the dictator, that will not make me raise this flag. So I don't want my daughter to make revolution against the dictator. Let me take this. If your generation fix the chaos, the mess that happened, that will not make, make me do that. And at that time he said, you're right, my daughter. Go on, I am with you. So there is a really responsibility for the second generation. All the sacrifices that I'm doing is for my kids, is for Yemeni people, is for Arab people, is for the world. Believe me, it's for the world. It's for the safety and security of the world. I am saving the world from those dictators who supported terrorism, who supported chaos, who supported wars, who destroy, the humanitarian security, the security itself. So this is my ethical, thing. If I didn't do it, absolutely. My kids will do it. If my kids didn't do it, their kids will do it. So why we delay the battle for freedom and democracy? Let's do it now, and let's have the honor to be the one who light this, this candle. Yeah.
Thank you, Tawakkol. If you may, we now turn to questions from our audience. Yeah. Si tienen alguna pregunta, igual la pueden hacer en español y nosotros tratamos de pasárselas en inglés. A ver, si nos apoyan con un micrófono o les prestamos este. Gracias, maestro.
Marhaba.
Marhaba.
¿Sí se escucha? Do you listening? Do you listening right the microphone?
Yes, I listen.
Okay. First, Sauruto Bilaki. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
I am really admire your work, and congratulations for winning the Nobel Prize of 2011. And one of my questions is, what is the matter of the material conditions when you do a revolution? The material conditions are your human rights for water, for education, for safe living. And when you do a revolution, as the example of Yemen in 2011, Algeria, Libya, the Jamahiriya, Egypt, and maybe after the Ukraine revolution in 2014, they maybe in Ukraine, in Eastern Europe, they don't consider how is the important fact or the important matter of the young people and women for do a revolution. I don't know why, and this is my question, I don't know why the most of politicians don't consider that the young people and the women have the right to say their own conditions for if you do a revolution, you can be safe. You can be safe because the government, you get an attack against you. You get attack against the young people and the women. And why the government do this kind of terrible things? I don't know why.
Okay. Let me take the side of Ukraine first. I want to say something about Ukraine. Look, what happened in Ukraine is something as a result of what happened in Syria. In Syria, people were revolt against the dictator Bashar al-Assad for a long time, and the international community and the Western governments didn't help Syrian people. I'm not talking about military action. I'm talking about they allow Putin to occupy Syria and to kill Syrian people with their dictator Bashar al-Assad. And that is encourage Putin to invade Ukraine. So what is in Ukraine happening now? Ukrainian people are defending for their freedom and are paying the price of the wars, of the, encouraging Russia, to occupy Ukraine, or maybe then after Ukraine, maybe another countries. So with the young people in Ukraine, they are doing a great people, not young people, all people. I was in Ukraine, by the way. I visited Ukraine with 2 Nobel women laureates 1 month ago. So I saw all Ukrainian people refuse to be invaded by Russia. It is not fair. I don't know if some of you agree with me that Russia is invade Ukraine and you are against Russia on this war against Ukraine. So what can people do? They have to defend themselves. They have to fight for their country, for their sovereignty. For me, as a Nobel laureate, I like, and I always call for non-violent, resistance. But in a case like Ukraine, I can't say no. People, you should stop and you shouldn't defend on your. For example, if United States occupy Mexico, what will you do as a Mexican people? So that is not fair. The same thing that we are now facing in Yemen by the war of Saudi Arabia and Emirates and Iran. So, but in general, I tell people, encourage people, advise people, when, especially young people, women, men, to use nonviolence as as only way for taking their rights. About facing invader, facing occupy, like what happened between Russia and Ukraine, it needs some discussion before I give lecture on that field. Okay? This is what I understand from your question.
Yeah, and my last question is, I will be honest with this question. When the war in Yemen started in 2014-15, in Mexico and the Western country, nobody tells anything. Yeah. And especially here in Mexico, nobody knows about the war in Yemen. They think that we're a long country. We know that the most part of Yemen is next to the Hormuz, I don't know how to say it, the Hormuz Sea, and the most of petroleum who we use in the Western world are by, I don't know how to say it. The most of petroleum are supported by the Middle East, and of course, the Hormuz Sea is a very conflictual area from the Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iran, and also Yemen. But here in Mexico, all the people, nobody knows about the war in Yemen. And I personally will say that the Yemen war is one of the rawest war in nowadays, unfortunately. When many years ago, Yemen was one of the most beautiful countries of the Middle East.
Thank you so much. I want really to give you a big clap. I like that you know a lot. I like people like you that know a lot, read a lot, and are so interested, on the world, matters. So thank you so much, and believe me, that yes, with this war, but Yemen will not be defeated. Yemen is strong enough to be against all these outsiders, and also the militias who is hand of the outsiders. So believe on Yemeni people, and one day I will come here again, and you will raise the same microphone and say congratulations on your winning against those,
شكرا جزيلا حبيبي.
Shukran. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You speak good.
شكرا.
Thank you.
Sadly, we have only 2 minutes to say goodbye.
Yeah.
For your last
I
message.
hope. Yeah.
Please.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't know what can I say, but I hope that I can speak Spanish. So I finish my lecture with some Spanish words, but really I would like to learn Spanish. Really, I hope that one day I give one of my lectures, not my lectures in Spain. This is one of my dreams. I will do it one day. When? I don't know. But from now, I say, mucho gracias. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Tawakkol Karman.